We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Zayin Amud Beis Meseches Yoma. This is Yoma Daf 37b. The Gemara had asked, why did Munbaz HaMelech only make the handles of the kalim that were used on Yom Kippur out of gold? Why not make the entire kalim out of gold? And the Gemara says, Amar Abaya says, Biyado Sakinim, we're talking about the handles of the knives. Rashi says, She'iev Shalaso Sakinin Atzman Shalzav. You can't make the knives, the blades themselves out of gold. That's not going to work effectively. That's why he was only able to make the handles out of gold. Gemara asks Meisvei, we have a question from the following brisa. Afu asa kane kalim. He also made the bases of the kalim, v'yogne kalim, and the grips of the kalim, v'yados kalim, and the handles of the kalim, v'yados sakinim, and the handles of the knives. Shal Yom HaKippurim of Yom Kippur shal zav, made out of gold. Rashi over here says kane kalim b'sisei moshav, and again that's the bases where they sit on. V'ogne kalim beis achizas, and that's where you grip it, that's where you grab it. V'yados sakinim, v'yados kalim, the handles of the sakinim and the handles of the kalim. So the kasha is katani sakinin v'katani kalim. It says in this brisa the handles of the kalim clearly does not mean the handles of the knives. So what does the handles of the kalim mean in this brisa? And so the Gemara says Tirgama Abaya interprets this particular brisa bekisasa denargi v'chatzini. Rashi over here says bekisasa denargi v'chatzini means yados, the handles, hakardumos umaglos, talking about the axes and the hatchets. Those again you can't make the blades out of gold, so he made the handles out of gold. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, quoting the Mishnah, Hilni, Imo, his mother, Hilni, Osta, Nivreshes, Shelzav, V'chulu. It said she made a chandelier of gold. The Gemara says, Tana was taught, B'shah sha'achamos orachas, when the sun would rise, Nitzotzos yotzin mimeno, there were sparks that went from it, V'hakol yodin, and everybody knew, She'igi azman Kriya Shema, that now was the time of Kriya Shema. So the Gemara asks, Meisvei, we have the following question. It says, Hakorei Shema Shacharis am Anshe Mishmor v'Anshe Maimed. If a person reads Kriya Shema in the morning together with the Anshe Mishmor and the Anshe Maimed, lo yotze, he's not yotze. Mimnesha Anshe Mishmor mashkimin, because the Anshe Mishmor, they say Kriya Shema too early. The Anshe Maimed machram, and the people of the Maimed, they say it too late. And so Amar Abaya answers, L'sharama of Yerushalayim. We're talking about the other people of Yerushalayim, not the Anshe Mishmor and the Anshe Maimed. Rashi over here says, first Nitzotzos, the sparks, means Zaharuris, it means the rays, Sha'achamos orachas min ha-mizrach, because the sun, it rises in the east, V'not al Pesach ha-heichel, and then the lights, the rays of the sun go through the entrance of the heichel, Shul etzad ma'aravi, meaning it shines towards the west, and that's why again these rays would come and they would indicate that it was the time of Kriya Shema, She'igi azman Kriya Shema, Kedetani, as it says in the Brisa, Mitzvasa im hanetzachama, the mitzvah is with sunrise, so they would be able to see from the rays of the sun that were sparkling that it was time to say Kriya Shema. But then the Gemara said that the Anshe Mishmor, Sha'anshe Mishmor means Sha'kohanim, Shu'avodim mutalas aleim. The Anshe Mishmor refers to the Kohanim who are doing the Avoda, Makdim and Likrosa Kodem Hayom. They would actually get up early to say Kriya Shema before daytime. Shemati Moshech Alein Ha'avoda V'yimnu Likros. They were afraid the Avoda would take a little bit too long, and then they would end up not reading the Kriya Shema properly. The Anshe Maimed, who are the Anshe Maimed? That's Yisrael Ha'omdim B'shalichas Hatzibur Ala Karban. They would always have non-Kohanim who would be like the owners of the carbon. They would be agents of the rest of Klal Yisrael over each carbon. You had to have an agent who was a Yisrael appointed over these public karbanos. Shanamar, like it says, Tishmeru lahakrev li mitzvah sheyiyu mishamrim v'omdim al karbonim. You have to have people standing over the carbon. Hachidarish le b'sifri of Meseches Tainis. That's what it says in Sifri and Meseches Tainis. Now the Anshe Maimed, again, these non-Kohanim, ma'achrin likros ad kalos avodas hatamid. They would delay reading Kriya Shema until after the avod of the carbon tamid, and so therefore clearly the sign is not for these groups of people because they were reading a little earlier or a little later. Rather, l'shar amma haboim ba'azara who simin lodia zman Kriya Shema. It was for other people who were in the azara. They would have a simin of when to recite Kriya Shema. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, quoting the Mishnah, V'yafi osta tablet, says that Hilani, she made a tablet, and they wrote the Megillah Sota on the tablet. They would copy from there if they ever had to write a Megillah Sota. So the Gemara says, Shamat mina, should we see from this Mishnah, Kosvin Megillah Latinok le'Islamid ba, you're allowed to write a Megillah for a child to teach. In other words, there was a machlokas in Meseches Gittin. Rashi says, a pluksiv in Meseches Gittin. There's a machlokas in Meseches Gittin. Can you write a Megillah, a small portion of the Torah, in order that the child should be able to learn from that, not write the entire Sefer Torah? That's a machlokas over there. It seems from here you're allowed to do that. So the Gemara says, Amar Reish Lakish Mishum Rabbi Yanai. Reish Lakish says in the name of Rabbi Yanai, Aleph Beis. It wasn't written out the entire Parsha of Sota. It was written in Aleph Beis, meaning Rashi says, Aleph Beis Osio Shel Rashi Atevos, meaning it was letters, it was Rashi Tevos. They just wrote the first letter of each word, for example. They didn't write the entire Parsha out, so it's no proof that you're allowed to write a Megillah for a Tinok L'Islamidba. Gemara says, Mesa, we have a question from the following Brisa, Kishu Kosev, when the person would write the Megillah Sota, Roev Kosev Mashakosev Betavla, he would look and write exactly what was in the tablet. Sounds like he was not just reading off of Rashi Teva, he was reading from the tablet the actual words of Megillah Sota. So the Gemara says, Ema, you can correct this Brisa to say, Roev Kosev Kemashakosev Betavla. He would look and he would write as what was directed to write in the tablet. In other words, it wasn't identical. The tablet didn't have the exact Parshas Megillah Sota, but the tablet just had the Rashi Tevos, and he copied from there. Meisvei, we have a question from another brisa. Kishu kosev roa v'kosev mashakosev betavla. It says in this brisa again, when he was writing the Megillah Sota, he would look and see exactly what was written in the tablet. Uma kosev betavla, and what was written in the tablet. So this brisa is much more explicit. The tablet said, Im shochav isho sach v'im lo shochav im satis im lo satis. It had exact psukim. Apparently, it was not just Rashi Tevos. And the Gemara answers Hasam over there in that brisa. We'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Ches Amud Aleph.